today we made our way into Madrid and we're going to visit ITAérea. This is a business school that I graduated from this year that helped me to get a job in the aeronautical industry. So let's go inside, let's meet the people that lead the school. Let's ask all the questions that would be very interesting to ask them.
¿Qué tal? Encantado. ¿Cómo estáis? First of all, more than glad to have you here with this interview, this conversation. My name is Vicente. I'm the commercial director of ITAérea Aeronautical Business School. School specialized in aeronautical management, where we have different focuses on sustainability, business administration, aeronautical safety, but our main focus is aeronautical management. Yep.
I know that there are not so many aeronautical business management schools in the world, and that ITAérea has different offices all around the world.
Yep.
How has it been for you?
Well, ITAérea has proven experience since 2006, so established in Murcia, in the southwest of Spain, but the main headquarters are there in Murcia and here in Madrid. But we also have territorial headquarters all around the world, in Africa, in Asia, Middle East and Latin America, and also here in Europe.
Do you think that aeronautical management is in high demand right now everywhere in the world?
Yes, it is, absolutely. I mean, it goes with the aeronautical evolution and aeronautical adaptation on the climate changes issues that we are facing. That's the question that, for example, ITAérea adapts to the changes that the aviation is facing. For example, sustainability, how the companies, how the institutions are moving, are changing their kind of actions through and towards sustainability. And we see how the companies and airlines are creating sustainability departments. So ITAérea tries to adapt as well ourselves to this movement, this adaptation, and we created the Master in Sustainable Air Transport Management to be aligned with the movement of the aviation industry.
Do you think it's a challenge to be a universal school, so to say, or are there for specific markets there so many differences and so many peculiarities that you have to adapt in some way?
Yeah. Yes, they are. I mean, each geography is completely different. They have a completely different maturity as well. It's not the same Europe as Africa as well, for example. So we try to adapt our programs in terms of the maturity of the sector and the maturity of the geography. But however, all of us will have the same requirements in the future. We have the same and trying to ways of adapting ourselves to the aviation sector evolution. So at the end, it will be the same. I would say the same content, but given at different timelines because we know how they behave.
Mm-hmm. I think it's because the ICAO regulations are everywhere.
Absolutely.
Around the world.
You're
okay.
right. Yeah.
What do you know about your graduates?
Well, most of them, the majority of them, are kind of related to the aviation industry. Not all of them are aeronautical engineers or aeronautical managers, but we do not discriminate anyone for not having any background specialized in aeronautical management or experience. Of course, we value the most that you are linked to the aviation industry in this way or in that way. We do not care because we consider that, for example, a candidate that has 15 years of experience in the aviation sector, working in an airline or airport, in a navigation company or whatever, has as well so much to contribute to the rest of the candidates, the rest of the students, that another one that is a recent graduate from the aeronautical engineering or so, or aeronautical management or so. So we want to mix them in terms of, we also have lawyers, we also have people graduated in business administration that has no relation with the aviation sector, but they want to start linking themselves to the aviation sector. So we create a mix that we think is so rich and so valuable for them to interact. We do not specify that you have to have any specific background or experience because we want all of them to mix between each other and then to create invaluable relationships between each other. Yeah.
Well, I can confirm that because my first education was in art history and I used to work as an art historian for a long time. before I decided to switch to aviation, to the aeronautical industry. And for sure, the master's program was a great introduction for me into the sector. That gave me a lot of valuable knowledge about this. I was also told that you have a very high rate of employment. Is this because the aeronautical sector is growing, or because the school also provides opportunities of employment to their students?
I would say both. First of all, the aviation sector is growing every year, despite of the COVID pandemic that we suffered back in 2020. It has recovered almost 100% of traffic, for example. But of course, we have a job exchange in which we publish on a weekly basis several job offers, specialized only for our students. So we help them with putting them in contact with the companies human resources department, or so, that they know how ITAérea works. Why? Because we have, most of them, we have their high managers and directors, they are lecturers of ITAérea, so they know how ITAérea works. And we have a specialized and dedicated academic department that selects the lecturers. Which are the lecturers of the profile? They are all of them are high managers or directors from the main companies of the aviation sector. We have also CEOs, we have also COOs, CCOs from these companies. We don't mind. We have 5 modules: airports, airlines, air navigation services, manufacturers, aircraft manufacturers, and air law and regulatory policies. And we select these high managers, directors, founders of this kind of companies that we consider that any of them, I mean, any people could teach this subject, this module, this chapter, or this content better than they do. Why? Because they do it on their everyday life. So they manage people that do exactly what they are teaching. So it's like not to be so far away from their work, because they are teaching what they do in their everyday life.
It's maybe a personal question, but if I remember right, you have a background in Volotea, right?
Yes, I do.
You have worked with the airline.
Yeah.
How did you get there? And when you studied, was there also a similar path like we have right now?
Well, I studied in aeronautical engineering here in Madrid, in the Polytechnic University of Madrid. Then I started to work at the airport, in Madrid Barajas Airport, for AENA. And I started at the same time this master in airport and aeronautical management here on site in Madrid as well. And I knew one of my colleagues was worker from Volotea. So ITAérea published an offer from Volotea, because the CEO of Volotea is a lecturer of ITAérea. So there was kind of links there. I applied for that job, and that was the path that I followed. Helping myself from the connections I made here, of a colleague, of a student that was a former student, and it was my colleague in my group. The founder of Volotea was a lecturer of ITAérea, so it was kind of some links that make me to decide to go for Volotea's job offer. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah,
indeed.
Okay, I have an interesting question. So when I studied during the past year, I noticed that there are a lot of students from everywhere around the world, from Latin America, from African countries. Is there any specific, first of all, I understand this is because the program that I was in, it is a joint program with UNITAR.
Yes.
But at the same time, I would like to know, first of all, is there any support that ITAérea gives to international students? And secondly, would a person studying with you be in high demand on their own market?
Absolutely. We do not have every student is not from Spain or Madrid. We have, for example, now we have several from Africa in the promotion that is started last week. We have 4 people coming from Africa and 3 people coming from Latin America. And ITAérea supports them in the way of we help them with the visa requirements. We help with the visa application. Also, we help them with the immigration permits as well, and also we help them with the accommodation, to find an accommodation, and then we introduce them to the job exchange that we have in our platform, and then we try to support them in this kind of issue that, for example, when you go to a foreign country and you're going to live there, you have never been there, you have do not know anyone, we support them to be integrated in the school and to have a easier life here while they are studying in ITAérea, of course.
Mm-hmm. So it means that the most talented students do have a possibility to stay in Europe and work in
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, then afterwards, the work permit is accredited by the company they work for. Okay. We provide the visa for training, mm-hmm. not the visa for working. So the visa for working is provided by the company they work for.
Can you tell a little bit more about how the financial structure works for students in ITAérea? Because I know you don't have to pay the whole course day one. So what are the possibilities and opportunities?
Yeah. Our main value here is to make the student comfortable when attending classes, when coming here, if you come from abroad, and also as you mentioned, the financial structure. We do not tell them to pay at once. Well, if you pay at once, you will get a small discount, 5% discount. However, we try to make them feel comfortable in terms of payments. So we kind of structure the whole payment into several monthly payments. And for example, you can choose if you want to pay in 6 months, in 12 months, just to feel you comfortable and to make it more affordable for people that they cannot allow themselves to pay the whole amount by once. We want to make them comfortable in all senses of the path.
And how long do you think it takes, more or less, for an international student to come and start studying? Like, do you need a lot of time to apply for the visa?
From the time that they get interested in the master, could be kind of 2 or 3 months. So mm-hmm. It is not a long time, because we help them as well to apply for this visa, the documentation that they need, the requirement that they will need to comply. So yeah, mm-hmm. It will be.
So it means if the course starts September, so to say, then they need to more or less start preparing.
Well, I would say Easter, because we have summer in the middle. So here institutions, most of them go on vacations in summer. So I will recommend to
a little before. Okay,
yes,
okay,
absolutely.
I see.
I would be interested to know, what is your goal, maybe as a school, as a business school, in the next couple of years? Do you have any specific goals?
Yeah, we have a clear path to follow, and we should an ambitious one, because ITAérea has been, from 2020, we have the triple of students that we had back 4 years ago. So our path is to increase from the next year 30 to 35% of the students, and also to increase our lecturer pool. Now we have 300 to 350, and we want to increase it for the next 5 years until 500 lecturers, in order to have a very rich pool that we can, for lecturers from giving any kind of subject, any kind of module, any kind of knowledge that they also know that better than anyone. So yeah, one of our paths is to increase this lecturers pool. Also, we want to create 4 additional master's degrees that we will be published soon.
Is there a chance for your ex-students to become your lecturers?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, that colleague from Bolotea that I met back in 2017, that was the year that I made this master, now is a lecturer of the business case of the second module here in the on-site program. So absolutely, nice. It is.
What do you think are the major trends for the next 5 years for the aeronautical industry?
Well, first of all, would be sustainability. Because of the Agenda 2030, we all want to comply. All the airlines, the airports, navigation services companies, everyone should accomplish this kind of I would say, challenges that I will face until 2030. The Agenda 2030 of the UN, of the United Nations, for which we have an agreement with, that you mentioned before, for the Master in Sustainable Transport Management. We also will be able to face another challenge of the aviation will be the fleet change of these extra large range aircrafts that they are coming into the business, the 321 and the 350, that they are coming to play within different airline fleets. and also the kind of supply of the SAF and the hydrogen that airlines are developing with their internal departments, how to manage this kind of supply that they will have to face and to accomplish until a certain year within the period of the UN agenda. As well, this kind of supply of the fuel, SAF and hydrogen in the near future, I consider are the main challenges that we will face. Yeah.
I suppose that Spain is the right place to be for this change, first of all, because of all the things that happen here with Airbus here in Getafe, and also because the first 321 extra wide range is going to belong to ITAérea, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we're pretty much in a very exciting moment right now, aren't we?
Yeah, in fact, they are testing the 321 in Madrid Paris route, and then they will accommodate this A321 XLR to the Boston route, Madrid-Boston. So yeah, it will be very soon.
Wonderful. Well, maybe my last question then, of course, it's a question that worries everybody who wants to enter the aeronautical industry but doesn't have enough belief in themselves. Would you give an advice to those people? Because on my end, I was surprised how welcoming this industry is and how many opportunities it gives to someone who's passionate for it. But of course, you, with your experience, you would have a broader vision.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend these people?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing and the most important thing that I would recommend is to start. In Spain, we say to put the head, first of all, in the industry, because all of us have started from the bottom, and then trying to engage with the industry, because I'm sure that once you are in, you will love the industry and this aviation sector, and then to try to make good connections in the different jobs that you are working with, in the different training programs that you are applying for or whatever, to make a good connections. I mean, a good network that it could be helpful in the near future for you. And then, but first of all, to introduce yourself in the aviation sector, and then see, because the aviation sector has many sub-sectors within the main one. So then decide which one do you want to dedicate your time and your professional career with. So that would be my main advice for them. This is a passionate, absolutely passion-driven sector. Yeah.
That's for sure. Thank you very much, Victor,
Thank you very much
for your answers and for
pleasure.
your time. So let's go and see a little bit the study in action.
Absolutely.
I just saw a lot of students have come with the luggages. Do they arrive over the weekend for the training and then they leave?
Yeah, maybe some of them, they live abroad here in Spain, so they come to the master Friday and Saturdays, and then they come back to their hometown or on Saturday, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's students all around Spain.
That's right.
Are in the Spanish program.
Yeah, most of them live here and work here in Madrid, but we have different geographies, yes.
Do you help in this case the students to find accommodation while they stay?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. Just a couple of months ago, beforehand, they came here to start the graduation, to the inauguration act. We help them to find this kind of accommodation. Mm-hmm. Of course, we offer them several accommodation opportunities, and then they choose them according to their possibilities and their affordabilities. So, yeah.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing you in my graduation next May.
I will. Thank you.
So as we're going to go and enjoy a little bit of Madrid today before we return back to Barcelona, you can think, do you really want this to be your career? Do you want to work with aviation? Do you want to do this every single day for many hours per day and be happy with it? Then this is your first step. We're going to leave a promo code inside the description. This is a friendly promo code that ITAérea has provided. our subscribers. So welcome into this journey with us. And if you have any questions, let us know. We're always going to be happy to help you.